Welcome back to In Their Own Words. I'm your host, Kim Kotis, and I'm joined today by Jodi Clock, who's the author of Navigating the Eldercare Journey with Outgoing Book. So, Jodi, let's go on a little more about what would be the biggest takeaway for someone about this book? What do you want them to retain and really use as a motivation to make good decisions?
Well, you said it right there. To make good decisions, in order to make good decisions, they have to not leave themselves exposed. So they need to get all their information, and I'm going to assume that they don't know what they don't know, so they want to very methodically go down that journey in the sequential system that works for them, and they want to make sure that they don't leave their wealth exposed, that they don't leave their health care exposed, because that sets them up to fail. And then that sets up emotional and financial heartache. So essentially, I want them to keep their money. And if not, I want them to direct where they're going to send their money to.
Well, let's talk about the book a little bit and the way you laid out the book in terms of that it's a step-by-step process, that it's something you need to really prepare yourself. These are decisions you have to prepare yourself for, get good counsel, and really look at the advantages and the risks that are at stake. So guide us a little bit through how you wrote the book so that the viewer would take it from beginning to end.
I had a lot of fun writing this book, and thank goodness I had a great platform to springboard off of. For those of you who don't know me, Dale and I are on our second lives, if you will. We both come from previous pasts and previous marriages. And the platform in this book is really three things, the way it's set up. It's set up in 10 chapters. Each chapter stands alone. So if somebody just wanted to learn about probate, they would learn about probate. If they wanted to learn about long-term care, they'd just read that section. But each chapter is set up with a storyline, and the whole book follows the storyline of Russ and Yvonne. And Russ and Yvonne are very special people in my life. They were my previous in-laws. Great people, and I'm so appreciative that they gave me the ability to use their names. And Russ and Yvonne are average America. Russ was a divorcee, and Yvonne was a widow. And she was a widow with 3 young boys, and he was divorced with 4 adult children. Well, not adult, they're adults now, but 4 children. And when they came together, they both had their own wealth that came to the table. Now, they loved family like family, but in their almost 40 years of marriage, how do you allocate that? What do you do? And I watched over my time with my ex-husband, a really sharp, go-get-'em, articulate businessman, really start to fade. And I watched Yvonne, my mother-in-law, cover up for him. And all of my lights were going ding, 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 ding. Something's not right, something's not right. And long story short, today he sits in an Alzheimer's unit, and for the last 5 years, he's just the shell of the man that he was, and he has no recollection. And as we sit here, Yvonne is in hospice dying. So fast forward to the point, oftentimes the caregiver dies before the person receiving care. So each chapter follows the two of them from, as adult children, we said to have the talk. It talks about having the talk, and it's points on how to do that. And then at the end of each chapter, and I'm still picking on the talk, there's a family care plan or an action plan or a list of to-dos. So what that does is, whether it's the talk, whether it's long-term care insurance, whether it's understanding Medicare and understanding what options of Medicare mom and dad have, do they need to buy the supplemental Medicares that are out there, all of those different things, it breaks it down from a storyline. You see what's happening in their life, and that's only maybe at most 2 pages, but it's usually about a couple paragraphs or a page. And then there's the meat of the lesson learned, or the facts, if you will. And then there's those resources, where to go find, whether it is the resources or the different links and websites available, and or where should you look at, within your policies, what do you have, and then really a strategy on what do you need. So it does that all the way through. And then the thing that was exciting to me is if you do each one of those chapters, by the time you get to that point where we discussed earlier about do I need an attorney or what do I need, you pretty much so have it all wrapped up. So when you go to that professional, be it healthcare, be it insurance, be it financial planner, be it attorney, you've done your homework, you're saving time, energy, and money with someone else because you're very specific on your wants and needs, and that brings all the costs down.
Well, that's one of the things I was really impressed with, is that it has a real practical side to it, and it gives something to compare, and almost like a workbook in a sense, because it's not just a how-to, but it prepares you for all the things that may interact with each other as places you could go astray or just get overwhelmed. Is that one of the problems that you've seen people face? And like you mentioned, there was a passion of people that you've seen close to you, but is that people facing those dilemmas and not knowing where to go?
Oh, you're spot on. What happens here, and I'm sure it happens at other places, but in our funeral home, people come running in on an 11th hour and they say, my social worker, my caseworker, my attorney told me that I got to buy a funeral. And then they have like stacks of paper and they're all confused, and they're overwhelmed with just the thought of planning a funeral. All right, that in itself, there are many steps into funeral planning, and there are many decisions that have to be made. On a good day, that can be overwhelming. So, compound that with, okay, I got to get this done on a deadline so I can get copies of this and get it filed within the government system to make this happen so I can get a bed because mom's in the hospital today and we need to move them to a nursing home tomorrow.
So these decisions can come up just like that and turn your whole world inside out or upside down.
On a dime.
And I think it's really sensible for people to understand that you aren't alone. There are people in this world who understand these issues, who face them day in and day out. And what Jodi's done here with navigating the Eldercare Journey is to help you understand how to approach these subjects without being so unsure of yourself. Because as you said, these decisions affect you, in a real personal way. And if you're not prepared, it can ruin everything.
It's your internal compass. And I'm imagining most people didn't get this far out in life if they didn't listen to that little inner voice. Now, they had good advice, they had good role models, but they also were probably gently nudged or guided on where to go and what needs to happen, just like anything else. There's no one cookie cutter approach. You need to be very specific about your wants, your needs, and kind of have an exit strategy, if you will. And I know that sounds silly, but kind of like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, you always got to be prepared, and then what's the worst that can happen? It changes. You readjust and you move on. But it's a great start.
Well, that's terrific to know. Now, in writing a book like this, I'm sure you did an immense amount of research and maybe had some help doing that, but did you really do all this all by yourself?
I can honestly say it depends. Yes, I did it by myself in terms of did I do the sweat, writing countless hours. In fact, I wrote 90% of this book in my little safe place, which is down in South Haven on the front porch of our cottage. So, that would allow me to focus. And I was fortunate enough to have a publisher come to me, Windy City Publishers, out of obviously Windy City. And they asked me to write the book. And then, of course, we have all of our legal guides and some of the other checks and balances along the way, proofreaders, editors. There's a whole team.
Well, there's a lot that goes into writing a book, and I'm curious about how you found the time, let alone where you found the peace to do this.
Yeah, in my free time. Sadly, I don't have any free time because I guess I'm an overachiever. Now that I'm an empty nester and would really love to have some grandchildren to take up my time if my son and his new wife Kelly are listening. But since I don't have anything to fill that void, outside of my four-legged ventures with my pets and my passion with the no-kill shelters and animals, I like to work. I like to help people. I want to do the right thing, and I get a lot of gratification out of working. What I do enables me to help people on a bad day, but more importantly, you can connect with people, and they're letting you into an inside of their life and a little window of what's going on, and that's a privilege I don't take lightly.
Well, I can't recommend enough that I want you to,
Thank you.
take the time to look up Navigating the Eldercare Journey Without Going Broke by Jodi Clock, because it's a really good resource for you to read, to share with your friends, to really take stock of your life and the lives of others that are close to you. So Jodi will be back in just a moment, and stay with us on In Their Own Words.